Hey, Cape Flint Stories, how's it? Hope you guys are good. To all the daddies out there, we just want to say Happy Father's Day. We want to talk a bit about fathers and being a father, and we would like you guys to join us, in our comment section. Saam met my vanaand het ek twee ander paas en ons gelukkig gesels vanaand. Sometimes we must give credit to our men. There's men out there that's trying their very best, to give, to provide to their family, and we don't always give these men recognition. And there's a lot of things we need to talk about. I've seen a lot of posts today on Facebook. Men are being discredited, and they feel a bit, they're not doing enough, or they're not getting the recognition. But we want to talk about that tonight. We want to talk about the things that bothers men, and what men are doing right. We always focus on the wrong that men are doing, the wrong things that men are saying, but we're never focusing when they're doing on the things that they're doing right. So with me tonight, I've got two gentlemen with me. Um, Valentino is Bianca's husband, and then I have my old friend Brother Andre. Brother Andre is, Brother Andre, we spoke about geld and cake, but tonight we're going to talk about parents and fathers and the roles fathers play. Gentlemen, welcome. Welcome. You can introduce yourself to the audience. Let's start with Tino.
Hi, my name is Valentino. I'm a father of four girls. Grew up in a home with a father and a mother. Very strict old school styles. Hard. A man must be able to provide, never gets tired, etc. Um, Being a father is tough, especially with four girls. Um, but you learn every day.
Valentino just said that vier meisies, you've got four girls. Yeah, wonderful, but awesome stuff. Awesome stuff.
Four girls.
Brother Andre, just tell us more about yourself.
Hi, good evening, sir, beloved Stan and Brother Tino. I'm a father of three, actually, two boys. Eldest one will be 18 in a few months' time. Second eldest, 12, and then the little girl, 6 years old. So God has really granted me the desires of my heart the last time because I always wanted a little girl. And then eventually, the last time of trying, we eventually got what we wanted. So in due time, God God grants us our heart's desires, my brothers.
Awesome. Um, you know, okay, and I'm a father of two. I've got a 10-year-old son, and I've got a 14-year-old daughter. I think ek weet nie hoe dit julle voel nie, but I think that teenage years is a bit tricky, man. You need to understand him because you were trying to figure them out. Let me just see somebody join us here. Let me just see quickly. Hey, Colin, how's it? How's it? Welcome.
So yo, sorry, I'm late, man. I
Not
rushed
problem.
all the way from Mitchell's Play now.
Welcome. Colin, the
Yeah,
gentleman
thanks.
just introduced himself now. So we're just going to talk about, our roles as fathers, and so on. Just tell the people more about Colin, who is Colin, and your family and so on, so that people can just get an idea of who Colin is.
Okay, good evening, gents, people. I'm Colin Hendricks. 38 years old. I'm married for 16 years now. I have two lovely children. One is 16, 15, and one 7-year-old daughter. Yeah, living in Lavendale, Montague Village. Very passionate about fatherhood and young people. I'm a youth leader in my church, and I'm currently working as a tutor also, or part time. And yeah, I'm retired from a factory worker, and I'm in between jobs at the moment. So just like I say, that's basically just me.
Thank you, Colin. Gentlemen, me and Tino just spoke about this, and before we start, before we go into the conversation, I've noticed this, and I might be wrong, but you guys have to help me out. I think there is a much bigger hype when it comes to Mother's Day. I don't know how you guys
Yes.
feel about that. Op elke stoepie, op elke winkeltjie het jy iemand wat 'n bouquet verkoop en rose verkoop en I love you mommy koppies verkoop. But when you go to the shops, daar's baie min wat gespreek word oor mans of daar word nie baie promotion werk gedoen nie. Sien ek die alleen of sien julle ook almal die, because I think that's a big problem, because if in a society where everybody wants to be equal, I don't think we are being labeled as equal. One of the things is that I also see still today, people make fun of, sê hou heel jaar slat jou vrou vir jou en dan hou jy Father's Day en dan lag mense vir daai tipe memes, but when you turn it around, when a man hits a woman, it becomes a gender-based violence problem, and that is not a joke anymore. So I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I feel that as men, we are being set up, and to feel less, or to think less of us. So let me know what you guys think about that, or if I'm wrong. Anyone?
Stan, I would agree with you,
But,
especially when it comes to the Father's Day and the Mother's Day issue, because yes, when it comes to our mothers, especially we as boys, we know how much we love our mothers. And for some reason, it was that a lack of relationship, if I put it correctly, because I can only speak from a personal point of view where I grew up without a father. So for me, Father's Day is just another day. Yes, I honor and I respect the leaders in my life, and I would send them a message. But it's not for me personally also like the hype that's around Mother's Day, because we know we go all out for our mothers and even our wives, because they are our children's mothers, and in ja die winkels is vol al letterlik 2-3 weke voor Mother's Day, want is 'n groot hype, en vir Father's Day is dit maar nou net it's another day. Ons celebrate dit maar net en ons eer ook maar die vaders laat hulle nie so uitvoel nie. So that's it, my personal view.
You okay? You wanted to say something, Colin?
Yes, sir, man. I think it's basically what we also see as we allow it to go that way through the years. You see, through that the hype becomes more less of importance. But if we should really reflect back the importance of us men in society, the role we play, we should take our rightful place back as being the leaders and the commanders and the commander in the community, in our houses. Then the hype will change again. You see, because people see us as the less nowadays. Ons hoef nie vir hom regtig so te spoil. We don't need to go so all out for him. He's just a simple guy. He's not. But we also need that
Mm.
reassurance to know that our family value us. We are being seen as we also need that affection. Now it's we don't show it maybe anymore. But I also would love to have a gift, even if it is a rose or bouquet or something nice. We don't show that affection anymore. So they've treated us as the cold, as like it's becoming a coldness now. So was by a coat. So maybe that is what. So we should return back to being that lovable people. And I have seen like 50. I will say 50-50, like you say. I have seen some people flocking to the stores to go buy some gifts for the fathers and grandpas and stuff. And I've also seen, yeah, like in our church for Mother's Day, we would cater for 150 mothers, and when we cater for the fathers, we cater for 30 to 50 fathers. See the numbers, you see. And yes, it is. We should be seen as the kings and the commanders, and yes, we allowed to go that way. So yeah, when we don't need to celebrate Father's Day anymore. So no, man, we need to change this.
Okay. Tino, what is your take on this?
I do agree with both Colin and Andre. It's true that I just said with the Mother's Day long ahead of time, the hype is put up, and it's Mother's Day. You need to spend that extra bit of money, and you need to prepare all the food and things like that. And when it comes to Father's Day, it's more Father's hours, because it's just in the beginning, Happy Father's Day, and then everyone goes on with their day, and then the father's forgotten. But the moment the father steps out of his role, as he doesn't provide or he does something wrong, then the whole world turns against him. Where if it's the mother that does something wrong, then she's probably had a tough day. She's got children to look after. The father's probably not doing his part. So whether you do wrong or you do right, you get blamed either way. And I also say that with Colin, it's right where we need to stand up and take back our place as the kings of this world and prove to the world that we are actually more important, not more important, that we are more important in what we are seen as today. Not more important than the mothers, but more important than the statistics that we have been placed on us by the world and ourselves as fathers.
And I agree with you. I think one of the things that we are facing in our communities, um, there's a lot of absent fathers. There's a lot of absent fathers. I mean, always like yesterday, whenever you speak to young men in Zefra from Vasio Pa, my pa is in die tronken of ek ken nie my pa nie. That is something that it is a big problem, and that is the reason why we're in this position. Because, and I'm not saying all fathers are like that. Daar is mans, ons het agtergebly. We are taking care of our children, so there is some good men. But I think just that in many cases, the reason why our community is in this havoc situation is because a lot of men have just left their families or their children. I mean, I think also if a man leaves his family, or him and his wife, they go through a divorce, I think the father should still have a relationship, at least with the children, play his part, because you can see many times when a father isn't there, that child don't know authority, that child don't know how to behave, or he later on he don't know how to become a father. I don't know, but I feel that also hulle sê ons het ons plekke geversuim. Like Colin said, ook in die kerk en baie van ons staan in ons plekke vol in ons religious institutions. If you look at the neighborhood watch, one of the biggest things that we have in neighborhood watch is just go to any neighborhood watch. It's mostly females. It's mostly females in our communities that are part of the neighborhood watch, and that is the biggest problem. There is men, but also say daar buite nie. And I think that we need to step up. Julle praat 100% about, but how do we start? Where do we start? Ons is baie van ons is so verlore. Ons is so uit kontak uit met ons families. Daar's miskien 'n pa wat miskien luister na ons. I mean, you said something that you grew up without a father, Andre. Just tell us more about your situation and how was it for you growing, or losing your father at a young age.
Okay, Stan, I lost my dad when I was 9 years old. Some people broke into our house, gangsters, so that's what we were told. And they shot and killed my father at, like I said, I was only 9 years old. So I know the consequences of growing up without a father. You see, my mother, as much as she loved us and gave us or tried to give us everything that she could, but the role of a father was missing, and because of that, not too long after that, at 13 years of age, I left school because there was no manly authority, and
I think we lost Andre there now. Okay, but I just want to read while Andre's coming back. I just want to read some of the comments here quickly. Mandy says here, "Hi guys, I disagree. We must not generalize. In my opinion, good dads are being honored. It can be that there are too many absent fathers. That is why it looks like Mother's Day is honored more, which is a valuable point." And then we have Peter Adams. Evening absent fathers is not the only ones who end up running away or just forsake his responsibility. As the father, it's also the ones who is at home, but who'd go to the Sabine Fridays through to Sundays and just plain ignore his family. And then Abdurrahman says here, um, there is more females in the community, in neighborhood watch. Okay, yeah, Yeah, Andre joins us again. Hi, Andre. We just lost you there now.
For some reason it yeah. So yeah, I was saying that yes, I know what it is like growing up without a father. Hier kom die 6-jarige nou na my toe. So when I was 16 years old, I decided ek gaan ook nou smok kom as soos my pa because dis maar nou die ding wat ek wil doen en wat my pa gedoen het. But you see, at the end of the day, man, daar's 'n weg mos nou wat vir ons reg lyk, maar op die einde dan lê dit na die dood. Long story short, Stan, at 19 years old, 19 years of age, I made a girl pregnant, and at that time, obviously, when ek het 'n role model as 'n pa het, so now ek weet hoe om 'n pa te visie because dit was nou nie vir my
Nee, die Wi-Fi daar nie. En jy moet just bring dis ek kwy nie. But Tino, just say, more from your side, as a father, you had a father, you said you had a very strict father. And you obviously were watched, you couldn't go out to certain places and you couldn't do certain things. How did that affect you? And are you still, doing the same in your house, putting out rules there? Because, I mean, a lot of homes don't have rules, die kinders maak en doen wat hulle wil. And sometimes also, this is another thing, when a father as a pa rules sit, en dan raak jy maar kwaad, maar jy gaan nie vir my kinders vertel nie. So I think that is another thing that we are also experiencing. But just tell us from your perspective, Tino, how do you, what do you still honor about your father and implement it into your house?
So with my father, yes, he did set down a lot of rules, but I think what helped mostly in our household was that my father and my mother were a team when it came to us. So when the rules were set, my father and my mother would agree upon it. Things like you need to respect people, you shouldn't lie, stealing is wrong, and the choices you make is your responsibility. It doesn't matter if your friends all go to plan on, let's say, robbing a bank, for instance. If you go with them, it's not their fault. You're the one that decided to go with them. You were the one that took it upon yourself to join in the bad doing or the wrongdoing. And those are the types of things that me and my wife, Bjornova, implements in our household. That even if your friends tell you to do something, it's your fault because you decided to do it. You had a choice at that point to say no, but that's wrong to do that. I don't agree with that type of thing. And a lot of times people want to blame other aspects of their lives. It's his fault that I did it. He told me I should do it. It's not that he took your hands and took the bread from the shop without paying for it. You're the one that actually went into the shop and you took the bread. So it's your fault. You need to take responsibility for that action that you did. And those are the type of things that we are trying to implement in ours. Respect for one another, understanding, communication. Those are the things that I was taught when I was younger by my father and my mother.
Colin, on your side, you said that you are, you work in the community, you work with the young people. And I've also worked, with a few organizations in Levendale. What is the things that you pick up as a father that is missing in that community? And when you talk to those young people, what is the things that you think that is needed in the lives, or the values that we need to implement in the lives of the youngsters in Levendale?
I, it's havoc. It's havoc here. You get two types of absent fathers. You get the absent father that he's actually there. You will get in one court. This guy he has a child by this one lady, and in the next court he will have another child. So and there's always fighting about this child now has that, and he will buy that child that, or he's mostly with that child goes to that family. The year okay, the one child spends 3 weeks in a row weekends by him, but the first child, his mother's not allowed to bring the child into his family. It's havoc, you see, and the children grow up with these kind of things. Eventually, he pushes all of them away. He goes around and he gets married not to one of those children's mothers. You see, And now when he got married, um, that that lady don't want the two children as part of the marriage. You see, and he's so in love with this woman, he allows her to reject that two girls or the two boys or whatever from them. And it's sad. And the other thing is where girls just randomly get pregnant with guys, and they know this man have no intention of staying with him. And then later on they say, yeah, but he said he's gonna give me a life, and then he just becomes a donator of giving money which he used to fight for. So you have to go fight for maintenance, and then they grow up with this, and you get this other absent fathers who are there in the house. He can't even talk or have a relationship with his own family. The only time he speaks to them or talk about problems in the house is when he has a few black labels in him over weekends or when he pays. Now he can talk. But Monday to Friday, he will come out of work, go into the bathroom, get washed, come in. People see that as a good parent or a good dad, maybe. He comes in, goes straight in. He don't even ask the children how was the school day or whatever. But he's alive. He's alive. Now Friday after work, he has a couple of beers. He comes and now he want to shout and scream about because he saw the children misbehaving in the week. You want to tackle the issue when he has a few beers in him or something like that. And these kind of things are we facing in this. There's even our other side where we as men, we think we can buy, we pump so many, we get make sure our children have everything they have as long as I get left alone. You're 38 years old and you still go out to clubs on Saturday nights, which is a good thing. We have to be social, but you're neglecting your family. You don't even know your children's friends or whatsoever. You're living your best life as long as they have what they have. Now, if you want something, you can have it. You say they become absent fathers. The children never long for that. They long for your affection. Take your family on a holiday. You see, and stuff like that. So that is what's missing here.
And I do agree with you there, Colin. I do agree with you. I think what you say, you have fathers that are there, but they're not really there. And I think that is also one of the
Mm.
biggest problems. And like you say, some of them don't even know their friends' names. I don't know about you guys, but man, I had to listen to Hannah Montana every day. I don't know if there's, if you guys still do that. I had to sing the songs of Justin Bieber. I had to
And
go to the
Frozen.
Justin Bieber concert, and that is just our relationship. And today, up to she's now a teenager, and I heard of this group that she follows, BTS. It's a South Korean group, and if I don't know these people's names and their ages, and then I'm boring. So I think that is things that we as fathers need to do. We need to find out, start that relationship. It is not. It is much more than just, like you said, Colin. It's much more than just putting down a law and rules and regulations, but it's also building that relationship and finding out, about your children and who they really are, because each child are different. So I'm just gonna go back. I see Andre is back, so Andre can maybe just continue with his story, and then we can just listen to him.
I think Andres' mic is off.
Hi, Andre. Can you hear me? I think we lost him again. I think we lost Andre again. But you know what? Let me just read some of the comments here quickly before we continue. Um, Daria says if they are not protesting against gender based violence, I will not celebrate them. They need to make their voices heard. I think there's a lot of men that are standing up against gender based violence. So I think, Andre, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Sius. Can you
There
hear
we go.
me,
There
Stan?
we go. There we go. So now you can just add your day quickly. They can continue with your story now.
You see, Stan, what I wanted to say was that it's just God's grace, man, nothing else. I look at it now, years later. I always walk with my children to church now, and I've got three, like I said earlier, and 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 I would push the pram, and the one would be by my side, and then the other one walking next to me. And the strange thing about that is, no, when I walk with my children to church, to many people it's strange that a father is walking with his children alone to church, because it's become so normal that our mothers are taking our children to church, that when a father now does these things, it becomes strange. People look at me and ask, hey, no, waar is jou vrou dan? En sulke goedes. But because my wife works shifts, man, so she would work for 2 months straight and then she's off for 1 month. But the point I'm trying to make is that the wrong thing within our culture has become so right that when the right thing happens, it seems wrong. And that is the thing that Colin spoke about earlier, that needs to change within all the major religions within the world. We see the fathers taking their children to the temple, to the mosque, and it is normal. But now within us, when it comes to Christians, it becomes wrong when we see a father walking alone to church with his children, or going to church alone, because dan wil ons vra jy waar is jy, maar wat gaan aan, is jy gejoller of wat gaan so aan? Because again I say the wrong thing has become, we major men on all the wrong thing and the negative things, en dan is daar van hy paas met maar die regte ding wil doen, maar dan word hulle ook nou met dieselfde besum gevee as gevolg van wat die anders verkeerd doen. Ek het nou gisteraand net toe praat ek met ons mansgroep by die kerk, en omdat ek my pa mos maar nou op 'n jong ouderdom verloor het van 9, het ek nie baie conversations. I remember only 3 conversations I had with him, because ons was altyd mos maar nou besig en so aan. Hy was 'n baie goeie vriend vir sy vriende gewees, but when it comes to being a father to us as children, dan was hy absent gewees. And that is die sad ding vir my, because many a times we would find that daar ons paas is in die huis. Hulle is daar elke dag met ons, but yet they are absent because they don't spend time with us and do the things that maybe we want to do. But I remember, and I said it last night, I remember him always singing the song, or humming the song that's by Mike and the Mechanics, Living Years. And ek kon nooit verstaan nie. Like I said, I was 9 when he passed away, but eventually, seker 3-4 jaar terug, wat ek stil gaan sit en die lyrics luister van die song waar it actually, wat die light bulbs aangaan. Because die man sê in die lyrics, hy sê, every generation blames the one before, and then all of their frustrations come beating at their door. They say, I know that I'm a prisoner to all my father held so dear. I know that I'm a hostage to all his hopes and fears, but I just wish I could have told him this in the living years. En toe ek nou na daai song luister en regtig die lyrics verstaan, toe dink ek wil ek deur die genade van die Here het hy my nou geseën met 'n nog 'n vader, my ma toe weer getrou. But I want to say the things with my father now. While he's alive, man, wil ek vir hom sê hoe baie hy vir my beteken, wat hy rol hy speel, even though we are not his biological children, het hy vir ons 'n pa kom word op die tyd wanneer ons regtig waar 'n pa nodig het. En ons weet, ons as mans, ons for some reason praat ons nie maklik nie, man. Ons is hard, ons was geleer that cowboys don't cry, and we struggle, if I'm honest, to show emotion, like with my little girl and with my 12-year-old boy. I can show affection to them, and I can tell them how much I love them easily. But when it comes to the teenagers, die oudste een wat nou 18 raak, for some reason, is net difficult. And again, I say, ons het dit nie alles by mekaar nie. We still struggle, and by the grace of God, we're hoping that we can cross that bridge, or build that bridge where we can come to that place and really be vulnerable to our children, and admit that when we are wrong. Niks maak vir my meer blyer om net te kan admit, joh, ek was verkeerd aan. Today, Stan and the guys, I would honestly give my joh, daar's baie wat ek sal weggee, maar net om te hoor die woorde van my pa af. I am proud of you. I am proud of you. And that's the sad thing to me, that we see at concerts everywhere we go, that when it comes to these kind of things, there's a 70 to 30% females and only 30% males, and Basi pass, hulle is net missing, hulle is nie daar nie. And Colin said it earlier, we as men need to come back to that place that look here man. Adam was nie op sy plek gewees, and that is why Eve could be deceived. So if we as men come back to the place where God intended us to be, and dan dink ek, en dan sal dinge vir ons beter gaan, but we need to start within our own homes, en dis waar ek dink ek belangrik is, in ons eie huise moet ons begin te principles neersit, godly principles, godly values, wat ons weet man, die Here het 'n behaag daarin, as hy sin maak.
Thank you very much. I just want to play a clip quickly, and then you guys can, and then we're gonna continue with the chat quickly. Just 1 second for me. Just a very powerful clip that I really enjoyed. I think many of you watched it already. Okay, there we go.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah, you got to ask me, Mr. Stewart. You don't want to get the question for. How come you ain't never liked me? Like you? Who the hell said I got to like you? What law is there say I got to like you? Want to stand up in front of my face and ask a damn fool-ass question like that? Talking about liking somebody. Come here, boy, when I talk to you. Straighten up, goddammit. I asked you a question. What law is there say I could like you? None. All right then. Don't you eat every day? Answer me when I talk to you. Don't you eat every day? Yeah. Nigga, as long as you in my house, you put a sir on the end of it when you talk to me. Yes, sir. You eat every day. Yes, sir. Got a roof over your head. Yes, sir. Got clothes on your back. Yes, sir. Why you think that is? Because of you. Hell, I know it's because of me. But why do you think that is? Because you like me? Like you. I go out of here every morning. I bust my butt putting up with them crackers every day because I like you. You're about the biggest fool I ever saw. It's my job. It's my responsibility. A man is supposed to take care of his family. You live in my house, fill your belly with my food, put your behind on my bed because you're my son. Because I like you, because it's my duty to take care of you. I owe a responsibility to you. Now, let's get this straight right here and now before I go along any further. I ain't got to like you. Mr. Rand don't give me my money come payday because he like me. He give it to me because he owe me. Now, I don't give you everything I got to give you. I give you your life. Me and your mama worked that out between us, and liking your black ass wasn't part of the bargain. Now, don't you go through life worrying about whether somebody like you or not. You best be making sure they're doing right by you. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, then get the hell out of my face and get on down to that A&P. There are two questions every single South African.
I think that is a very hardcore video. You know, do we like them? No, it's not about liking. I think one of the things that we as men do and as fathers do is our responsibility to provide for our family. We can't just walk away from them. And I think there's something that you mentioned earlier on, Brother Andre, that you would like your father to tell you that he's proud of you. I mean, any son would like their father, and that is the problem we have also in our community. We don't also know when to give our children recognition. When your kind goed doen, dan sê jy maar dis nie goed genoeg nie. Instead of him telling him you're doing good, but you can do better, criticize him for him. And I think that is one of the biggest things that we have in our community. We're not giving enough recognition to our young men. And that's why many of our young men, they feel like failures, you know. And I just want to read this one quickly here. This is a bit groot. Marlon says here, as a youth leader in my church, I saw that most of our young people had absent fathers, and none of those fathers have a relationship with those kids. I myself had an absent father in my growing up, and I enjoyed, and I ended up doing drugs and running with gangs. But what that absence of my father taught me is to be a better father to my son in my family, and to have a relationship with my son and teach and realize him in the ways of the Lord. We as men need to start stepping up and taking our rightful places back. I just want to ask you guys something. Was it nou opgegroei? What does the word love you? You know, do you opgegroeid did your father and your mother or ever tell you when you were young that they loved you? And because I'm going to tell you now why I'm asking you that. Did you ever hear that coming from your parents? Andre ek is lief vir jou, Tina ek is lief vir jou, Colin ek is lief vir jou. Did you ever experience that, or was that not much used in your home? Anyone?
That is something I always speak about actually, because my mother still up until today, I love her dearly, and she loves us as her children. In fact, she just left here now, and honestly, she struggled to tell us that she loves us. But for years I blamed her, because you want that affection from your mother as well as your father. And for years I struggled because why can't my mother show affection to us? But it was up until the point when I realized that they were never affirmed by their parents, so it was difficult for them to do something towards us that they themselves never got. And so it is only then that I realized that I can't expect her to do something that she don't know how to do. And still it is something that I honestly, even after being saved for so many years, that I struggle to show her that kind of affection that I would really want to, because I'm being scared of being rejected, not because of anything else, but many a times because people don't know how to 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 experience, or they know what love is, but how to accept that affection. They tend to reject people because of their rejection that they experience. So ja, ek weet my ma's verskriklik lief vir my. In fact, my wife's in hospital currently, and my mom has been everything to me this past week now. She's been cooking for me, cleaning for me, doing everything that a mother should or does, and even more. You understand? So I really honor and I appreciate her, and I love her to bits. But I just know that it is difficult for some of our parents to show that kind of affection to us as children, because they never experience it themselves.
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones to still have both parents alive. Oh, um, that word I didn't hear so much really, but like I also believe that love is a verb, it's a doing word, so you can acts of love. So sometimes when we were in a bit of an argument or something, or I wanted to know why my parents did this or this or that, then they will tell me it's because we love you, but not out of their own coming to you and just patting you on the back and say I love you, or in that moment where it was a moment. My parents were ordinary. They also used to take a drink, and we used to have people over weekends, and we as children used to hate it because the house will be full of aunties and uncles and cousins. They were drinking, and we had to go sleep early and stuff like that. But generally, it faded away, and they become devoted Christians and everything. And then my dad made a stop to it. He changed the house around, and he's the one always getting excited when it's your birthday or some special occasions. He invaded our privacy and stuff a lot. Get himself involved in our lives. You know, I was 18 years old, and he would still take me to the club. That time it was so nice to go to clubs at night. School functions, he would say, "No, why you go with the taxi? Come out, Daddy will take you and stuff." And to me, then my mother would explain to me, "It's because your daddy loves you." He never said it so much, but he did it so much. Nou wat hy ouer is, nou wil hy my elke keer vertel hoe lief is hy vir my. Hoe sê ek, ja, Diddy. A few weeks ago, his left toe was amputated, and now we get to push him around in the wheelchair when he goes for checkups and stuff. And it's such an honor for me to do something with that on my off days when he would like ask me, "Can you take me to the hospital tomorrow?" En ek voel die skaam nie en toe push my daddy there around. Maar hy was nog groot man in die gemeenskap ook, you know, he's well known. Hier stoot ek nou die honorable Mr. Hendricks hier in die reisstoel. But yes, and then he would send me a message or tell me, "Thank you, my son. I love you. Daddy, love you very much." And for my now, it melts me. It melts me. It just makes me feel warm. And that I want to overflow in my son. My son gets upset when I hug him. He's 15 years old. My daughter loves the hugs and the kisses. I kiss him. I don't kiss him on his cheeks or what. But I kiss him on his head and I tell him and I celebrate him the small achievements. Like 2 weeks ago, he completed a course in scuba diving. So I celebrated it and I gave him a big hug. It felt to me some things I never explored that he could now do, and I made sure we had a nice. Even if we celebrated with burgers, we made burgers and chips that night, but we made it a celebration, you know, just to show love and tell them as much opportunity I get to tell them I love them because I still being told that. So I won't stop telling everybody. I'm not shy, and it's not a word I just throw around there. It's something I really feel for my people out there. Because you can't be a Christian and don't have love.
I agree with you, and I actually love that the fact that you said that you are now doing it to your sons, and like Andre also said, like for me it was difficult because my mom, my pa, like you said, they showed us that they loved us, but all of us, I don't know, as all of us the scam gewees seker om het te say, but like you say,
Yeah.
if you look at their mothers and you look at my grandmother and my grandfather, they never said it to them. They never said to them that I love you, but they hulle het was lief gewees vir hulle because you know what, they didn't say it but they showed it. But like yourself, Colin, I also said I want to make a difference. And when my daughter was born, I started telling her I love you, but not because of words. I said it because I meant it. And I wanted to change that because so that my grandchildren and my great grandchildren can also hear that. So I love what you said, and up to this day, as ek vir my ma sê, Mami, ek is lief vir Mami, I sê sy moet nie vir my bespotterig hou nie because sy reg skaam, but it doesn't mean that she doesn't love me. It's just that her way, or their way of growing up was actually different. Tino, just over to you quickly. Maybe you can just share some info with us as well.
Uh, Thank you, Stan. I'm also one of the lucky ones. I still have both my parents. My mother showered us with love, me and my brothers, just the two of us. My father showed us love in different ways. He is still a very hands-on type of person. So my father was the one that taught me how to cook, how to fix a car, how to fix a bike, and he didn't always say it a lot, but he would tell us if we achieve things, he's proud of us, he loves us. When my mom would say it like 20 times a day, he would say it once a month if you want to scale it that way. Um, but it is also the way that we grew up, the old school way, where you weren't always allowed to ask a lot of questions. And because of the way my father was, if my father said no to something, that was the end of the conversation. But I appreciate him then and more so now because he was the one that always, he didn't go to church, but he always made sure we were at church. He always made sure we were at school because my mother worked shifts. So he was always the one that made sure that if you had to be 6 o'clock at the place, he would make sure you'd be there 10 to 6. He'd make sure you'd get up to go to church, to do this, to practice. Even if he didn't agree with the type of thing that you did, but he knew you loved it, he would be there to support you. He would stand on the field in the cold, in the rain. He was always there. And today, I'd say our relationship has grown much more because I can actually ask him, like I asked him a question the other day. You never went to church, but you always made sure we were at church. Why was that? And he said, even though my relationship with God is different to yours, I always made sure that I kept you on the right path so that one day when you have kids, you can show them the right way as well. And to me, it hits harder now than it did when I was young. Because when you're younger, you don't always understand these things. But now I understand fully that he was always just trying his best. And that's what he always says. He can't do everything, but he always tries. And because of him being able to always try to do things, I feel that
I have benefited and I was privileged enough to have such a great childhood thanks to him and his ability to try. And thanks to my mother being always able to tell us she loves us and hugs us. My kids are actually to the point where they said, "Okay, Daddy, you're loving us too much now. It's too much hugs, Daddy. It's too much kisses, Daddy." Because as my family is just like that. We just love us like a big part of us, our family, and it's just like I said, they just like, "Okay, Daddy, I think that's enough now. It's enough." So yeah, that's my growing up.
And I actually love that the fact that that you're showering them with love and appreciation. And I think this is something that we need to grow on the Cape Flats. We need to tell our children that we love them. We need to be that role models. Our children don't have to go look for role models anywhere else. It should start at home. I think we should be set examples. The first place or the first die eerste man wat die kind van gaan leer in die huis en is die pa. And if you act and treat people like a gentleman in your home, I think that will automatically carry over, and your children will then experience, how they should be treated, especially like, your young girls. And I think that there's many things that values that we've lost along the road, when it comes to being fathers. We are absent fathers. There's many absent fathers. We spend more time in the community, but we forget about what's happening in our home. And you try to save the community, but here at home is a ticking time bomb, because remember, you're giving all your time outside there, but you're not really spending time with your children. And I think that is where we need to sort of step up. We need to, as men, we need to take back our, and sometimes I'm also guilty, I must remind myself, you need to spend time with your family, because it is, if you don't spend time with your family, that is where all that wrong things happen. Other people take advantage of your children, because I mean, 'n kind wat sonder 'n pa groot word, hy gaan 'n ander plek soek, of sy gaan 'n ander plek soek vir hy liefde. And I think that is the biggest problem, is that we as men need to get back to the point where we, take back our place in our homes, first of all, and back in our communities. Because we, yes en no, daar is manne wat wat die hulle rol speel, maar daar is ook manne wat hulle rol speel. Daar's manne wat definitief, die tyd insit, in the creating, like Tino said, now his father was there for him, took him, places. And I mean the same with Colin as well. And something beautiful also with Andre, where he said that another man became his father and loved him unconditionally. That's also another thing that I admire from men, that that get married to a woman with children, and loving that children as his own. So that is also something that I admire and respect. I just want to read something quickly here from Mandy. I also grew up in a house where showing affection was funny thing, but that made me change my mindset. So I'm teaching my children that showing affection is natural. Yes, so as a parent, we can change that today if we want to, and I think we
Mm.
need to start changing that. I wanna give to each one a few minutes of you guys just talking to the people. You have been fathers now for maybe 10, 15, 20 years and more. But I want you guys to give a message to the other fathers out there, just to encourage the fathers out there. And also just, there's a young man watching this now that are maybe planning on starting his own family. Just a word of advice to those youngsters and those men, that are on the verge of getting married, or maybe in the next few months. Where where do they start? What is the things that they shouldn't do and the things that they should do? Just from you guys, because you guys obviously were married, and you're obviously no, weren't, julle is nog julle is nog married, but just the things that you guys faced over the years, and that they must sort of avoid, because daar's baie dinge wat ons vir hulle kan leer, but that simple things that they should look at.
Stan, first and foremost, I would say that we must be real men, because at the end of the day, our family knows us better than anybody else does. So once we are real within the home, my kind ken van my hier in die huis, my kinders, en ek pretend nie buite om iemand anders te wees nie. In die kerk is ek baie heilig en ek doen al die regte dinge, sê al die regte goed. Maar as ek by die huis met my vrou en met my kinders is, en dan treat ek vir hulle nie reg nie, man, verstaan? So ultimately, hoe ek my vrou ook treat, man, voor my kinders is hoe hulle eendag 'n ander vrou se kinders gaan treat wanneer hulle getroud is, verstaan? So these are the kind of things that we as fathers, we have the ability now, and God has given us the grace also to not only help shape the next generation, but also help to raise the next generation. So what we allow is also what we teach. Hy's een ding wat Pastor Dean oor en oor vir ons sê. What we allow is what we teach. So yes, we fail many a times over and over again, but they kan altyd oor begin, man. Dit maak nie saak hoe sleg jy gedoen het nie. Jy kan altyd oor begin en die Here vra om vir jou nog 'n kans te gee om weer van die begin af oor te gaan. Ek weet as ons kom by Father's Day en dan like ons mos nou vir Luther Vandross, dance with my father Ricardo, I love you daddy. Maar daar was 'n song, ek weet nie, die Rockets het dit ook gedoen, wat sê daddy don't you walk so fast. Wanneer die lyrics ook sê dat man klomp dinge, hy wou weggeloop het van sy huis af, but because of the daughter running after him continuously, crying, Daddy, where you going? He tried to tell her a story, but eventually he says, because of the love of my daughter, I had to go around and start a relationship with the mother of my child. So dis die tipe stories, man, wat kyk jy, dit maak nie saak hoeveel ons weggedryf het nie. Miskien is jy 'n pa wat nooit daar was vir jou kinders nie. Sy's letterlik net 'n sperm donor gewees. But die Here is vanaand in staat om vir jou terug te bring na homself toe en om van vandag af 'n rolmodel vir jou kinders te bekom. Dat al wil jou kinders jou miskien nie aanvaar nie, want som van ons paas het regtig waar die kinders seer gemaak het. Hulle was nooit daar nie. Kyk, ek weet hoe dit gevoel het om sokker te speel en die goed te doen, dan jou ouers nie daar om jou te support nie. Die neighbors sê, sy kwaai, almal sê, sy doen die en sy doen die, maar sy het nie die support structure by die huisie. So miskien is daar so 'n pa wat vanaand luister en hy weet sy kind verlang na sy attention. Hy gee al die geld ook miskien, hy doen al die regte dinge, maar hy is net nie daar nie, man. En dan wil ek vir u sê dat die Here is vanaand in staat om 'n hart van klip te verander en dit te maak 'n hart van vlees. Maar ons moet die eerste stap vat, man. The prodigal child had to come to his senses, and that is what God wants us to do tonight. To come to our senses and go back to our Father's house, because daar's kos in ons Vader se huis. Maar ons moet die eerste stap vat.
Wow, Andre, that's powerful what you just said now. I just want to add on, brother. I fully agree with what you just said now. Fathers, come back to the place where you become the high priest in the house. So as hy wil evangelist wees, moet jy buite gaan preek in jou huis. If you want to start making a change, start with the person in the mirror and start with the Jerusalem starts in your own home. Verstaan, begin jou vrou liefhet, soos Christus die kerk liefhet. Begin jou kinders omsingel met liefde. It will soften them so much that they will be scared of going into this world. Hulle sal bang wees om my eentjie buite te vat. No, hulle is te sag. You need to soften them and you need to show them the softness, the gentle giantness. You know, you become so powerful, you build yourself up. As jy van krag weggee nie, man, is van you know, it's a certain stamina you take on a different level when you call the children in the morning 7:05. Before everybody leaves, I just want to say a simple prayer. Let's pray our Father, pray over them, and they will start trusting you. Kyk, hier is my pa se gebed wat my deur die dag gehou het, is my vrou sal dit voel. Show them the gentleness, show them the love, affection and the involvement. Be involved. Jou kinders, jy nie net overtime op Saterdag te gaan weekie. Gaan kyk op die sportsveld, alles jou kind nie saphoek. You know, you will tell him, you can talk about the game. Be his own coach, be his coach on the sideline. Whatever he's active, whatever he's involved with, make sure you go and have a look. It means the world. Start building brands with your children. Get to their level, like you say. Get to know the songs they listen. Speak to them. Moenie vir hulle force om te sê, julle moet hy so. No, man, build relationships, and eventually you will win them over to you, because why? You are the high priest of the house. God will give you the strength to pull through. If you fail, we all fail. Stand up again. Admit when you were wrong. Stand up again. Ask forgiveness. Forgive. And you will make it, man. And we will start to change this community. Don't go out to change the neighbor. When you oor gefestig hou op jou neighbors of die nie, doen jy wat hier by jou huis is en in jou familie, jou immediate family. Things will then start changing around you. You see, because it will spiral over to your neighbors and to your opposite neighbors, because they will see change in you and they will come to you. Thy neighbors gaan agterna kom en sê, "Hey brother, hoe or Stan or Valentino, Andre, hoe het julle aangemaak man? Ek sit met 'n selfe probleem and give them the same advice when they come. Maar moenie nie hulle wil nou sê dat moet nou so maats gehou word en so maats gehou word vir gangsterism where you can recruit a gangster in your house. In your family, in your immediate family, recruit them with love. Go talk. Ek soek 'n man wat vandag kan sê ek gaan self my kind haal daar by hy gangbaas man. Ek weet my kind skiet gun of my broer se kind, ek gaan my broer wakker maak en my broer sê jy ons gaan help vir Johnny of 'n bully of vir iemand wat daar so gun skiet. Ons gaan sê dat gangbaas, ons gaan met hom split. Hy gaan hom in die huis hou en ek gaan vir hom hier by my huis hou. Ek soek daai pa, ek challenge daai pa en daai jong man wat in die huwelik wil trou. You can make it. Just make sure the foundation is right. If your foundation is right, which is God, and you will make it. Thank you.
I remember reading a quote a couple of days ago. You can change the world in one generation if you teach them to forget all the wrong of the previous generations. It's a powerful statement because if you think about it this way, racism and hate and those things are taught generation to generation. If you teach your children the right thing, not the other children outside, your child, you teach your child how to respect the next person, how to treat someone. You teach your daughters how to treat their husband. You teach your sons how to treat their wives. The world will change for the better. And to the people that are starting out or that still are fathers or that are starting out as fathers and mothers, there is no book on how to be a good parent. You can only try your best. You and your partner, as me and my wife, we learn every day. I fail many, many times as a father. Many times. I get it wrong many, many times. But the difference, I think, with a lot of people is that me and my wife, we get up every time we fail. We try to help each other to learn more, to do better. Because at the end of the day, our kids are important to us. We want the best for them. We want them to succeed. We want them to become great. And we want them to be happy above all else. And I think that is the one thing that you can do that can change the world is just try to be better. Try to be better today than you were yesterday and so forth. And you will see that small little you do today will be big at the end of the day, the next day. That's my input.
Valentino, Colin and Andre, baie dankie vir julle tyd. I think this was a good message. It was a good topic. We should have more of this type of topics where we as men talk about the things that really matter. Because jy weet, ons is baie gou om vinger te wys daai en but you know we also play a part and we also need to take accountability and you know like you said there Colin, we must take back and do things in our homes, not run out there and you know and fix other people's homes but our own homes are broken. So I think we should have more often chats like this, I think once a month, and talk about the things that you know, because we are four different gentlemen here from different backgrounds, but the thing that we have in common is that we want to see our family succeed. We want the best for our children, and I think there's more men out there, and we need to talk about this and give tips and encourage one another, because soos ek sê, ons bly in 'n tyd in waar die mans maar stil geraak het, man. You know, I remember when I grew up and I grew up in a time where my ma was kerkmense gewees, so ons het openligte gehou, in Nevendale, Kefda, Pago, daai plekke, en dan was die broers was daar gewees, but things have changed, you know, we don't go out anymore and talk to the young men, and we don't, you know, tell them that there is hope. You know, ek het baie stories gehoor in die verlede van mans wat gangsters was, wat hulle lewe gechange het, and that is something we very seldom hear about. So we need to go out, but first start at home, and then we need to sort, you know, of share this knowledge with other people so that we can make a difference in our community. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here tonight. It is much appreciated. Ons maak binnekort weer so. Thanks,
Okay. Bless you.